Moving to Austin, Texas doesn't have to be stressful. It is probably going to be one of the biggest moves you make in your life, but it doesn't have to be crazy. So if you're moving to Austin, reach out to me. Let me help you make it easier. I'm going to save you time and I'm going to save you stress. I work with people like you every day who are moving to Austin, so I've learned a thing or two and I've got a system in place. It's going to work out. Promise. It's going to be just fine. I talk to people every day who are moving to Austin and I absolutely love it. So here are the 6 steps that it takes to move to Austin. Hi, I'm Tiffany Moore. I'm a local realtor and broker right here in Austin, Texas. I put up videos every week about what it's like to live in Austin, work in Austin, play here, what's the growth going on, what are some of the challenges that we're having. So if you want to know all those things about Austin, make sure you subscribe. And if you're thinking about moving here and you've got any questions at all about moving to Austin, there's a link in the description. Go ahead and click on that and book a call with me and I'll help you out with all of your questions. Here are the 6 steps to move to Austin, Texas. Follow these steps, and when you do, your move here is going to be as stress-free as possible, and we're going to save you a ton of time because we're going to pin down exactly what it is you're looking for. We're going to set expectations, and then you can just hit the ground running. So let's go. Step number 1 is doing a little bit of research on Austin, and if you're watching this video, then you're probably doing that right now. So things that you should be doing your research on are really trying to figure out what are some of the areas that you'd want to live in Austin. Like look up some of the general suburbs like Cedar Park, Georgetown, Round Rock, Pflugerville, Leander, Liberty Hill. Kind of do some basic research on these areas and figure out kind of, if you can, try to narrow down a few that you think you may want to live in based on what you know. There are so many suburbs around Austin, and I seriously got an email from one of my favorite clients. The first time he reached out to me, he's like, oh, I'm thinking about moving to Austin. Here are the places I'm thinking about. And it was literally every single suburb and neighborhood in and around Austin. So our job when we first talked is like, okay, let's really narrow that down. Let's try and focus on what you're actually interested in, what kind of life do you want to live, price range, all those good things. So that's something that you can do to start, is really try and figure out like, just do some brief research on like what's going on in Georgetown. Is it close to downtown? If you know that there's something that you are going to want to do when you're here and you want to live close to, kind of search in that general area. Like just for an example, one of my clients was moving out here and they wanted her daughter to go to a French immersive school. It's like, well, there's only a few of those in Austin. So that really helped us narrow down the neighborhood that we're looking at. Basically anywhere within like a 20 to 30 minute driving time of these specific schools. So if there's something like that that you know you want to do, hone in on that and kind of look at the areas surrounding it to see like, okay, does this work for you? Could you live here? Kind of get a vibe for it and feel for it based on what you can find online. You don't have to spend too much time doing this. Just kind of have a general overview of this information. This could be something like school, your office. If you know you're going to play pickleball like 4 times a week and you want to be close to a pickleball field, do some research on those things that you're going to want to do and what kind of life you're going to live when you move to Austin. Number 2 is doing your pre-work. So there's 3 things that I consider pre-work. 1 is booking a call with me. Shameless plug, I'm sorry, but you need to book a call with someone who's in the area. Number 1, someone who lives in the area and knows Austin and hasn't just lived here for 6 months. 2, with a real estate agent who is familiar with the market and can tell you from like boots on the ground experience what's happening, what's going on with prices. When it was crazy, you needed to work with someone who knew how to win offers and how to win them quickly without you paying way too much money. So you really need to be familiar with what's going on in the market, what kind of offers are winning, how do we negotiate those things. And 3, you really need to talk to someone who specializes in moving people out here from out of state, because it is very different from working with someone local who is thinking about buying or selling a home in Austin. If you're moving here from out of state, you have a lot of different challenges, different priorities. You may have been here once, maybe for a conference, and you like stayed downtown and went to all the awesome bars and restaurants and you got wined and dined, or you've never been here. And if that's the case, like my job is to help you understand what the different neighborhoods are, the price ranges, what it's like to live there, all those things. So most of my clients are doing exactly what you're doing. 80% of the people that I work with are coming to me because they're moving here from out of state and they have either never been to Austin or they've been here once or twice. And I have been able to help them figure out what do they even want? Where do we go to find that? And then we just hit the ground running. So I mentioned there's 3 parts to the pre-work. Booking a call with me was the first one. The second is coming out here for a visit if possible. This is optional, but if you can do it, I would totally do it. And the third is getting pre-qualified for a loan. So we're going to talk about all those things. So when you book a call with me, this is how it's going to go. First, we're going to talk about why you're interested in moving to Austin and why you're thinking about doing it right now. Like, why is now the time? Moving you and or your family cross country and like uprooting your life can be very stressful, and it's a really big deal. And so I want to make sure that we're doing it for the right reasons. And if there are any like preconceived notions or rose-colored glasses that you have about what it's like to live in Austin, I want to squash that and make sure that you have the real deal and you understand what it's actually like to buy a home here, to move here, what the cost of living is, all that good stuff. So I just want to make sure that we're moving out here for the right reasons and that you have all the accurate information that you need to make a decision on whether or not Austin is right for you. We're going to talk about if you have any idea of where you want to live. So I mentioned doing that step 1, do a little bit of research. If you have some idea of like where you want to live or what's important to you, that's really going to help me or whoever you talk to hone in on like, oh, okay, this neighborhood would be perfect. This one would be great. This one, not so much. So do you have a general idea of where you want to go? 2, what are you looking for in a home? What kind of home do you want to live in? That's also going to play a big role on what neighborhoods that we're looking in. Like if you want a grand 3,500 square foot house, we're probably not going to find that in Austin proper. Those are smaller houses. If we did find that, like, awesome, we're going to have to be prepared to have a pretty hefty paycheck for that. So I just want to find out what kind of home are you looking for, what would be ideal for you, and then I can kind of help narrow down what neighborhoods would be right. What timing are you thinking about for your move? You may or may not know, but the real estate market, it runs in cycles. And so the peak time kind of happens, it really starts ramping up in like March and April. Peak time is in the summer because a lot of people with kids want to be moved in and settled in their new home before school starts. They don't want to disrupt the school year. And so summer is a really good time to do all of that. So if you're moving outside of those time periods, you're going to have less competition for buyers. The market's going to be a little bit slower. And it just kind of helps me figure out, okay, when do we need to start making moves and getting active based on when you want to be moved into your home. And last, what price range are you comfortable with? I don't need to know anything about your finances. That's not my jam. You can talk to the lender about that. I just need to know what kind of price range are we looking at and how much cash do you have or how much cash do you want to put into the home? And I'm talking about like for down payments, for closing costs, for inspections, things like that. I need to know your cash budget so I can make sure that we stay within that budget. And same thing for your overall price range. You tell me what numbers you're comfortable with and we'll make it happen from there. It sounds like a lot of questions, but really I just want to make sure that I understand why you're moving here, what you're looking for, so that we can spend our time wisely and make sure that we get you what you want and not waste anyone's time like looking around at all these different houses and neighborhoods when that is not what you want. So we don't have to go and look at 30 houses. We're only going to buy one. So we want to make sure that the ones that we do see are like, yes, this is a definite possibility. And I need to know what your criteria is and what you're looking for in order to present those to you. After we get done with the questions, I'm going to talk to you about the current state of the real estate market, what the trends are, what we kind of expect to happen based on your timing and your price range, like paint the picture for where we go next. We're going to walk through the numbers as far as how much cash you're going to need, depending on how much you want to put down, what the closing costs are, any other expenses. We're going to iron all that out so you have a clear picture of these numbers before you even make a decision to move forward. Next, we're going to talk about the steps in the process and the timing, how long everything is going to take. And then if we both feel like we're a good fit to work together, then we'll move forward and talk about, okay, what's next? What's your homework? What's my homework? When do we need to get going based on what you want and when you want it? That's the first part of the pre-work. The second part of pre-work is an in-person visit from you, if possible. This is not mandatory by any means. It's optional, but I do think it's really nice for you to be able to come out to Austin and kind of do like a self-guided tour around the area and figure out what neighborhoods you actually like. It's one thing for me to tell you what a neighborhood is like or for you to watch videos, but you really get a feel for the community when you can drive through the actual neighborhoods, when you can go to the grocery store and you can figure out like, oh, I like this coffee shop, I like this little restaurant, this cafe, this feels like my scene, this feels like my vibe. Like only you know that. I can't feel that for you. You've got to come down here and feel it for yourself if you can. If not, It's totally okay. I work with a lot of folks who come out here and move here without ever stepping foot in Austin. They just know they're coming. There's opportunity here and they're going to make it happen, and we will make it happen. The third pre-work that we need to do is getting you pre-qualified for a loan. So before we go see any houses, we want to make sure that the price range that you have in mind is also the price range that the lender has in mind. So this is going to help you solidify the price point, the price range. The lender is going to make sure that there's no surprises on your credit. If there's something that needs to be changed, or if they need documentation about like a gift or a donation or anything like that, they're going to let you know up front so you can make sure you have all the documents you need, because the last thing that we want is to be like scrambling at the last minute trying to get all the information for the lender. I'm a big believer in put the work in ahead of time so we're not scrambling on the back end and everyone is stressed out. So we're going to do as much work as we can up front to prevent any kind of like crazy stressful situation on the back end. And so that's where getting pre-qualified comes in. We're not going to see any homes until we're qualified. We know what the price range is, you know what kind of documentation that you need, and then we move forward from there. Okay, so now you've done your research, we've done our pre-work. The third step is actually searching for your home. So once we have your pre-qualification letter, or if you're paying cash, we have your proof of funds, and we iron out the details, meaning like, what are you actually looking for in a home? We're going to iron out the neighborhood, the price range. We're going to get your list of must-haves and lists of nice-to-haves for the house. And then we're going to start looking. So we're going to get you set up on 2 searches. One, auto search in the MLS. You're going to get updated as soon as homes that meet your criteria hit the market. But that's not it, because that can be very overwhelming. So I'm also going to scan through the new listings and look for homes that I think you'd like, but that we can't necessarily filter for in the objective criteria. Like, unfortunately, there's no way for me to filter out like beautiful kitchen. I wish there was, but there's not. So I'm going to be looking for a beautiful kitchen if that's what you say you want. If you want a gorgeous view in the backyard, that's what I'm going to be looking for. And so I'm going to really comb through those listings and find the ones that I think you're going to love and send those to you separately. But I also want you to have all the information for the other listings that are out there for like the objective criteria that we can filter for. You might just click through them and be like, oh, all these are bullshit, I don't really want to see them, but these ones that I send you are gorgeous. That's totally fine. I just want you to have the information. If you're thinking about new construction, I'm going to curate a list of new construction communities that I think you're going to like based on the things that we talked about, the neighborhood you're looking for, what you want in your home, the price range, all that stuff. So I'm going to send you a few options that I think you're going to like. Just scan through them, tell me what you think. If we need to go make a visit, we'll do that. I'll reach out to the builder and find out like, hey, when are you selling homes? What do you think the price is going to be? Do you have any incentives for the buyers? What else can you do to get us into the house? So we're going to start our search for resale and for new construction. And then once we pin down a handful of homes that you've looked at online, you're like, okay, these are beautiful. I'm really interested in seeing these homes. Then we'll do a showing. And if you're here for the showing, awesome. If you're not, I do a ton of virtual showings. So the cool part is you can just sit on your couch in your PJs with a beverage, and I'm going to drive around to these showings and do either a live video or a recorded video depending on your availability. So if you're there and we can talk at the same time, awesome. I'm going to do a live video. I'm going to show you the house. You can ask me any questions. I'm going to tell you, does it smell like catnip in here? Are there like greasy Dorito fingerprints all over the house? Is there a lot of street noise? Is it super close to a school? Any other things that you're not going to be able to pick up from the video or the pictures themselves? That's what my job is. I'm your boots on the ground. I'm your eyes and ears. I'm going to tell you all the intangibles that you can't see on your own because you're not there. And we don't need to see every house on the market. We are going to stay laser focused on the houses that you love based on the pictures. So that's usually a really good indicator that you're actually going to like the house. We don't need to see every house because we're trying to do this efficiently and we're going to make it as stress-free as possible for you. You probably know that when you have a bunch of different options, it doesn't make it any easier to pick one. Instead, you get analysis paralysis and you get overwhelmed and you can't even move forward and narrow it down. So we're only going to see the homes that you are kind of in love with in the pictures. And then from those, we're only going to keep a running list of our top 3. So if we go see 4 houses in a day, one of them is getting clipped and we're just not even going to think about it anymore. And these new ones are going to be our top 3. And of every house that we go see, I'm going to ask you, okay, is this one in the top 3? And if it is, where? Is it 1, 2, or 3? And that's how we keep track of the houses that we love and the ones that are real possibilities and the ones that are just garbage. And like, you don't even need to think about those again because we're only focusing on 3 at a time. And really, you probably know which one is your favorite one. So moving right along, now we're on step number 4. Step 4 is making an offer. So when we find the home that's a 7 out of 10, let me say that again. When we find the home that's a 7 out of 10, not a 10 out of 10, we're making an offer on it. So a 7 out of 10 is one that you would be really excited to live in and checks most of the boxes on your list. We are not going to find a 10 out of 10. I just want to set that expectation right now. We're not going to look for the absolute perfect home because it doesn't exist. So that's why we set our criteria of our must-haves and our nice-to-haves. And I'm going to help you make sure that those are reasonable criteria, especially within the location and the price range that we're thinking about. Before we make our offer, I'm going to check out sales of comparable homes in the neighborhood and make sure that we have an idea of what the market is going to do. I'm going to reach out to the listing agent, see if there's anything else that we need to know. Is there anything special the sellers are looking for? And just figure out what kind of negotiation points we have before we even put anything in writing. I'm going to give you my recommendations on the offer as far as price, terms, any other thing that we can do to make the offer a win-win for both people. That's what we're going to try and do because we're making an offer on homes that we actually want to live in, and we're going to make a strong offer that makes sense. You and I are going to go over the details of all that before you sign anything, and then when you do sign it, I negotiate with the listing agent and we come to an agreement. So the 5th step is our offer is accepted. And now we're in a contract. In certain areas of the country, you may call that under escrow. We don't do that in Texas. We are just pending or we're under contract. So the next thing that we do is set up an inspection. There's a handful of inspectors I work with in Austin, and they're going to go through the house with a fine-tooth comb and tell you literally everything that is wrong with it. Now, we are looking for major issues like there's a hole in the roof, or there's a gas leak in the attic, or the house is not structurally sound. Those are the major things that we're looking for. Everything else that is like available to the naked eye needs to be accounted for in our offer. So we're looking for things that we couldn't see before and that are actually a big deal. So if there's like a paint chip behind a door, we're not concerned with that. If like the microwave door is a little bit wonky, we're not really concerned with that. If we want a brand new house that's has nothing wrong with it, then we're going to look for a new construction house. But if we're buying resale, we're going to come with the understanding that this house is not perfect, that people have been living in it for so many years, and we're buying it as is. So when we do the inspection, we're really looking for major items that we couldn't have discovered ourselves. Like the roof is about to be replaced. Like it's been there for 20 years. And the shingles are all messed up and the granules have all been faded away. And it's not really protecting your house anymore. Those are things that I'm sorry I can't tell you when we do the initial walkthrough. Little things like that. Not little things, major things like that are what we're looking for with the inspection. If there are major issues that we want to address with the sellers, we'll do that. We'll come to an agreement and we'll move forward. In this period, the lender is going to get more paperwork for you because they have to send your loan and all of your documents to their underwriters so they can give you the final stamp of approval. They're going to also do an appraisal on the house, and then we're going to close. That's all there is. And after we close, if you're in town, awesome, you get the keys and you live in your new house. If you're not in town, I'm going to keep the keys for you until you come to town, and then I'll bring them to you. We'll get to meet in person, which may be the first time that we ever meet in person, which is totally fine. But that's it. So step number 6 is you move into your new house in Austin. And some people move down here early, like if you're buying a new construction house. A lot of folks will move down here early and either stay in an apartment or in a furnished rental or an Airbnb or something because they just want to get down here and they don't want to wait for the construction process. Or a lot of people come down after the house closes and they can't get down here for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, a couple months. Like whatever works for your schedule, it's totally fine. So that's it. It seems like a lot. It seems scary. It's a lot to begin with, but really when we break it down, it's not that bad, and I do it a lot. I help a lot of people move down here who've either never been to Austin or they've only been once, and we're doing the whole process virtually. It's really okay. You can do it. If you have any questions at all, there's a link in the description. Click on it, reach out to me, and set up a call. I am here to help you.